Before time, before names, there are promises the soul remembers. Some are broken, some are lost, and some come back to us through dreams, through silence, through the eyes of a stranger. This is the story of a quiet girl and a shadow that never left. A journey through memory, healing, and the light that lives between lifetimes. Sometimes, love doesn't knock. It waits until we're ready to open the door. Stay with us and listen to the story of healing, redemption, and soul remembrance. This is In the Reiki Light Part 3, The Silent Promise, A Soul Remembered. Vanon wasn't the kind of person who caught your attention at first glance. She was petite, delicately built, always dressed in simple but elegant clothes. A soft, radiant smile lingered on her lips, gentle and warm, like morning sunlight filtering through leaves. Her eyes, large, dark, shimmering like lake water at dawn, held something quietly mysterious. She came to Melbourne from Vietnam as a student, and quickly became someone everyone admired. Bright, diligent, punctual, never missing a class. She volunteered. She hosted cultural events. She seemed flawless. But there were things no one could see. Only at night, when everything quieted down, did Vanon meet herself. There were nights when she woke up with a racing heart, like she had just escaped something invisible. In her dreams, there was always a shadow. It didn't speak. It didn't move. It just stood there, watching. It wasn't quite fear, but it wasn't peace either. It felt like someone was carrying a sadness on her behalf. Once, she told her roommate, "I feel like someone out there is sad for me." Her friend laughed, thought she was just stressed. So Vanon stopped talking about it. She kept smiling, kept performing, kept shining. But deep inside, she would sometimes place her hand over her heart and whisper, "Is anyone really seeing me?" Then one day, her friend, who studied Reiki, invited her to a healing event. She said yes, without knowing why. Maybe her soul remembered something. Something very old. Something once promised. The dream started in her first year in Australia. At first, Vanon thought they were just stress, school, homesickness, culture shock. But over time, they changed. They stopped being random. They repeated. Always the same mood. The same quiet tension. The same presence. A shadow. It had no face, no voice, no movement, just a figure behind the mist, at the end of a hallway, on a foggy bridge, not chasing, not touching, not speaking, just there, watching. And behind it all was sadness, heavy, lingering, like a cold hand on her heart, even after she woke up. She didn't know if she feared it or pitied it. Some mornings, she would wake with damp eyelashes, not knowing why. Then something changed. In real life, in daylight, Vanon started feeling it. Whenever she talked with a boy, even just a classmate. She'd get impatient, uncomfortable, like someone was right behind her, watching, judging. A dull ache at her temples, a cold chill up her spine. She began avoiding boys without realizing. Once, she snapped at a classmate who accidentally brushed her shoulder. No one else saw anything strange. But Van On felt like she was becoming someone else. The shadow wasn't just watching anymore. It was reacting. Not just sad, but protective, guarding, possessive. She didn't know what to call it. But she knew one thing clearly. If she didn't do something soon, it might take over. That's when she said yes to the Reiki Center. Not out of belief or curiosity, but because deep down, she needed someone to help her speak with the shadow, before the shadow spoke for her. Palmer's Healing Center sat quietly behind a line of tall eucalyptus trees. A small wooden house, its windows open to a sunlit garden filled with blooming lavender. Time felt slower there, like the world had left its noise outside. Palmer welcomed Van On with a calm smile. No questions, no urgency. He offered her a seat, poured her a warm cup of herbal tea, and waited. "I don't even know where to start," she said softly, staring at her hands. Palmer simply nodded. "We don't need words. Reiki will listen first." They stepped into the healing room. Wooden floor, warm golden light, the faint scent of eucalyptus in the air. On the table, a blanket, a soft headrest, and crystals arranged in a spiral. Before anything else, Palmer stood still for a long breath. Hands over his heart, eyes closed. He whispered a silent prayer, calling on the earth, the sky, and the Reiki masters. Then slowly, he opened his palms, tuning into the flow of energy in the room. Van On lay on the table, eyes closed. Her breath was shallow, her face peaceful, but alert underneath. Palmer began to scan her energy. His hands hovered inches above her body, not touching, yet sensing everything. As he reached her lower abdomen, a sudden jolt of pain shot through his own body. Not hers, his. A mirrored ache, like his own body was feeling her wound. He held his hands there, steady and cold upon a symbol. Seiki. The key to memory, the cleanser of emotions, the opener of locked places. Palmer focused his entire presence into the symbol, letting the energy flow through him, into her, into the places she herself had forgotten. Van On's breath grew rapid. Her hands curled slightly, her body releasing something deep. Palmer didn't interfere. He held the space, letting her feel, letting her purge, letting her breathe fully. After nearly 40 minutes, the energy settled. Palmer whispered a thank you, sealed the session with a closing symbol, then gently touched her shoulder, letting her know it was done. Van On opened her eyes. There was a distant look in them, like she had just returned from another world. "Why?" Does it feel like I just woke from a strange dream? Palmer didn't answer directly. He handed her water and said, "Your body is detoxing deeply. It might react. You may feel tired, restless. You might cry for no reason. Don't resist it. Just let it move through." Vanon nodded, silent, still unsure of what had just happened. But deep in her eyes, something had shifted. Something had started to awaken. Three days passed since the first Reiki session, and Vanon's body changed. It began with a strange lightheadedness, a nausea that came and went like the tide. Then, dizziness, sudden drops in energy, like her vitality was being drained, drop by drop. She wasn't sick. No fever. No diagnosis. But she couldn't focus. Couldn't eat. Couldn't rest. She started to worry. On the third night, unable to sleep, she called Palmer. "I'm sorry for calling so late, but I feel empty. Like something's leaking out of me. Like I cried in a dream. And I don't know why." Palmer's voice was calm, steady. "You're okay, Vanon. This is detox. A deep one. Your energy is releasing what's no longer needed. Should I take something? Medicine?" "No. Just rest. Drink water. And trust your body. You don't need to understand it. Just let go." She stayed silent for a few seconds, then whispered, "It feels like something inside me is waking up." Palmer paused, then answered quietly, "Maybe that's exactly what's supposed to happen." On the fourth day, she woke up feeling different. The fog had lifted. Her breath clearer. Her steps lighter. And most surprising of all, she wanted to return. Not because of fear. Not because of curiosity. But because something inside her said, "This isn't finished yet." Palmer welcomed her back without a word. They repeated the same ritual. The same quiet space. The same scan. When Palmer reached her abdomen again, the ache returned. Just as strong. This time, he sent a different symbol. Whispered, "Choku-rei." The light. The power. The healer. It flowed from his palms into her body like a vow. A promise that healing was possible. Even if it would take time. But Palmer felt it. This wasn't just physical. It was deeper. Something older. Something calling out. To be known. When the session ended, he sat with her in silence. Then asked gently, "Vanon, have you ever heard of past life regression therapy?" She didn't blink. Didn't hesitate. She nodded. "I've read about it. I believe some things don't begin or end in one lifetime." Palmer smiled. Soft. Knowing. "Would you be willing to try?" Vanon took a deep breath and answered with surprising strength, "I'm ready." A few days after her second Reiki session, Vanon returned to the center. She moved differently now. Lighter. Steadier. There was no fear in her eyes. No doubt. Just readiness. Palmer observed her carefully. She was calm. Present. Grounded. He knew this was the right moment to begin. The room was quiet. A reclining chair. A soft blanket. A single candle lit in the corner. No incense. No chanting. Just breath. And intention. Palmer placed a clear quartz in Vanon's hand. A point of grounding. Just breathe, he said. Let your mind drift. No need to control. Vanon nodded. Closed her eyes. Palmer began to speak, voice low and warm.
You are walking down a long road. Ahead a glowing gate. Beyond it, a place where memories still breathe. You don't need to rush. Just walk. It will open. When you are ready.
Within minutes, Vanon's body relaxed fully. Her breath slowed. Her fingers twitched, as if reaching for something unseen. Palmer asked,
Where are you now? Is anyone there with you?
No answer at first. Then, a whisper.
It's dark, very dark. Are you afraid?
Vanon's head moved gently. A shake. No. But it's cold. And sad. Is someone there? A pause. Then, yes. A shadow. Standing still. Watching. Not speaking. Do you recognize it? Not clearly. But I know the feeling. Deep sorrow. But not like before. Palmer closed his eyes. The air in the room shifted. Thick. Still. Heavy with something unspoken. Do you want to go closer? I'm not sure. It's like he doesn't want me close. But also doesn't want me gone. You don't need to do anything. Just ask if you wish. Vanon opened her mouth. But no sound came. Her body trembled gently. Eyes moved beneath lids. He's not answering. But those eyes, they've been waiting for a long time. Palmer felt it. This was the beginning. The shadow was no longer a dream. It had stepped into memory. And now, it waited to be understood. 1 week after their first regression, Vanon returned. This time she carried no fear, no questions. Just something quiet and still inside her. She was ready. The room felt warmer this time. Palmer noticed the shift, not just in her, but in the energy itself. She lay back into the chair. Eyes closed. Hands open. Palmer's voice guided her again. Deeper. Calmer. Further than before. Let your breath take you where memory lives. No effort. No fear. Just let the story return to you. After a few minutes, Vanon's face softened. Her breath slowed. Her fingers twitched. Palmer asked gently, Where are you now? Same place. Still dark. But it doesn't feel cold anymore. Is someone there? Yes, the shadow. He's back. Palmer spoke with care. Today, you don't need to wait for him to speak. You'll be the one to reach out. But he still turned away. He won't look at me. That's all right. Go closer anyway. You don't need words. Just reach for his hands. Van On's breath caught. I can touch him. His hands are cold, like ice. Look into his eyes. Let your heart speak. Say what's true, even if you don't know what it is yet. A long pause. Then a voice, shaky but real. I don't know who you are, but I've felt your sadness for so long. If I hurt you, left you, or forgot you, I'm sorry. Please let me hear you. Don't stay silent anymore. Then, from the dark, a voice responded. Finally, you see me. The voice wasn't male or female. It was a presence. A soul with no body, but a story full of weight. I followed you through lifetimes, not to scare you, not to hurt you, but because I couldn't leave. I was a beggar, a soul without name, forgotten by the world. Van On's breath hitched. In a past life, you were a young soldier, and you gave me your last piece of bread, not from pity, but because you saw me as human. That day, I made a vow. In any life that followed, I would return to protect you. Van On whispered, and you did. You became the child in your womb. Van On's shoulders trembled. A tear slid down her cheek. But I didn't know. I ended the pregnancy. I know. I never blamed you. But I couldn't leave until you knew who I was. Palmer said nothing. The air in the room was holding something sacred now. I don't want anything, the shadow added. Just this. Remember me. Not as a shadow, but as a part of you that once was love and was left behind. Van On choked out the words. I'm sorry. Let me make it right. Somehow. And the shadow slowly softened into light. Not gone, but no longer hiding, waiting to return. A few days later, Palmer prepared a shorter regression session. Not to explore, not to relive, but to return to a moment when everything began. The moment of the vow. SFX. Breath in, hold breath out. Van On settled in quickly. No hesitation. No resistance. Palmer's voice was calm, slow. We're going back to the place where the bond was born. Within minutes, Van On whispered, There's mist. I see a riverbank. The water is wild. The sky is gray. I'm bleeding. Palmer asked gently, Is anyone with you? Yes, the same eyes but younger, thinner, starving. Palmer kept his tone steady. When I place my hand on your forehead, tell me what happens next. He touched her lightly, then stepped back. Van On's voice trembled. I give him my food. Just a little bread. Some water. He stares at me like he's never been seen before. He's just a man. But I see him. Palmer closed his eyes. The connection was clear. This was the day the promise was made. Palmer whispered. When I touch your forehead again and count down, return to that riverbank. He touched her again.
3, 2, 1.
I'm back. Do you see him? Yes, same eyes. But sadder now. Go to him. And say what your heart needs to say. Palmer guided her. Say, stay with me. I broke your heart once. I won't again. Come to me. When I am ready to carry a child again. I promise. I will keep that child. I will love you deeply. I will make it right. Vanon echoed the words, her voice stronger than before. Palmer asked softly, did he answer? He said, it's a deal. I will wait. And I will not leave again. Palmer's eyes shimmered. A vow had been remembered. A soul seen again. No ceremony. No thunder. No miracle. Just a whisper. And the quiet knowing that love keeps its word. The regression ended with a vow. But Palmer knew words weren't enough. A promise, even when remembered, still needed healing. Before you leave, he said, let's do one more Reiki session. Not just for you, but for the child that once was, and for the girl who had to say no. Vanon nodded, her eyes glassy but peaceful. The room was dim, only a single candle glowing. Palmer lit a stick of sandalwood, placed a moonstone beside her, then stood silently, hands over heart. Let this energy flow to all the timelines. To the day of confusion, the day of goodbye, the day she wept without knowing why. He placed his hands above her lower abdomen again. This time, the pain didn't rise. Instead, warmth. Palmer visualized the symbol. Studio microphone. Echoing softly. Hanshaze Shonen. The bridge across time. The healer of memory. He sent it backward, to the moment Vanon sat alone, scared, young, unsure. He sent it to the soul who never blamed, only waited. He whispered, let all regret be seen. Let all grief be held. Let all love be restored. The room trembled softly, not with sound, but with peace. A tear rolled down her cheek. But her face was light. Palmer stayed longer than usual. Not speaking. Not moving. When he finally stepped back, he whispered, it's all been seen now. And forgiven. Vanon opened her eyes. Didn't speak. But her gaze said everything. She was no longer carrying the past. She was ready for the future. And somewhere Palmer knew, the soul once lost had found its way home. After her final Reiki session with Palmer, Vanon returned to her life. But everything felt new. She walked the same streets, attended the same classes, but something inside her had shifted. Her steps were lighter, her breath easier, her heart quieter. She completed her thesis with grace, took extra courses in psychology and energy therapy, not to become a healer, but because something within her now longed to understand what had once been invisible. She no longer dreamed of shadows. Her nights became filled with soft light, gentle presence. Sometimes in half-sleep, she felt as if someone was watching her, but with peace. A distant smile. A quiet gaze. Three years passed. She returned to Vietnam. Met someone kind, familiar, gentle. They didn't fall in love instantly. There were no grand gestures. Just comfort, ease. Like two souls that didn't need to try. They married. Simply. Quietly. Surrounded by trees and people who meant well. And a few months later, Van On became pregnant. When she saw the test result, she didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just sat by the window, her hand on her belly, and whispered, I've kept my promise. Now it's your turn. From that moment, her mornings began with Reiki. Not for protection, not for healing, but for connection. She didn't need to ask, is it really him? She didn't need proof. She simply trusted the promise. And as her belly grew, so did her peace. The soul had returned, not as a shadow, but as light within her. The birth wasn't easy. Van On labored for hours, sweat on her brow, tears in her eyes. But through it all she held one thought. I made a promise, and I will keep it. When the baby arrived, a healthy boy, her heart paused. She was tired, shaking. But when they placed the child in her arms, she looked into his eyes. He stared back, and in a tiny sudden moment, he winked. She didn't laugh. She didn't cry. She just held him close and whispered, I knew you'd come back. Months passed. The child grew strong, happy, calm. And one sunny afternoon, Palmer received a video call. Van On appeared on screen, holding her sleeping baby. Her voice was quiet. Full. I just called to tell you. He came back. Palmer didn't speak. He just looked, smiled, and nodded. Because some promises don't need to be explained. Only kept. Some souls come into our lives to stay. Others come to remind us of who we are. Van On's story is not about pain. It is about remembering. Remembering the love that waits in silence. The promises whispered through lifetimes. The soul she once couldn't keep became the child she would never lose. And Palmer, remained a quiet guardian, not the hero of the tale, but a witness to its unfolding, a keeper of light in the spaces where healing begins. If you listen closely, you'll hear echoes like this everywhere. In a look, a dream, a tear that has no clear reason. Sometimes, it's not a shadow haunting you. It's a soul asking to be seen, a love waiting to return. So when it comes, hold it gently. Listen to its silence. And maybe, just maybe, you'll remember the promise you once made too.
End of part 3.